How could a nation armed with spears and shields bring the most powerful empire on earth to its knees? In 1879, the British Empire, at the zenith of its power, saw its disciplined red-coated soldiers as invincible, carriers of an unshakable destiny. Their Martini Henry rifles were the pinnacle of modern weaponry, capable of felling a man from 1,000 yards. They faced the Zulu Kingdom, a proud African nation whose warriors were armed primarily with the iklwa, a short stabbing spear, and shields of cowhide. To the colonial commanders, the outcome was a foregone conclusion, a swift, decisive victory that would bring another territory under the crown. But they had tragically underestimated their adversary. They had failed to account for the military genius of a king who decades earlier had revolutionized his people's way of war. King Shaka forged a military machine unlike any other, built on discipline, mobility, and terrifyingly effective tactics. This is the story of how that legacy culminated in a single catastrophic day for the British Empire at a place called Isandlwana, a battle that would send shockwaves across the globe and prove that the will of a people can be the most formidable weapon of all. Before Shaka, warfare was ritualistic, a contest of thrown spears with few casualties. But Shaka, a man forged in exile and driven by a relentless ambition, saw a different path. He envisioned a nation built on military might. He discarded the long, flimsy assegai for the iklwa, a short, broad-bladed stabbing spear, demanding his warriors close with the enemy. He introduced larger shields for protection and drilled his impis into a disciplined, barefoot fighting force that could cover 50 miles in a day. Through brutal training and revolutionary tactics, Shaka transformed a minor clan into the most formidable military power in southern Africa. His reforms were not just military, they were societal, creating a new Zulu identity centered on the warrior, forever changing the destiny of his people. The British Empire, at the zenith of its power, cast a long shadow over southern Africa. The discovery of diamonds fueled a rapacious hunger for land and control. Sir Henry Bartle Frere, the High Commissioner, saw the independent Zulu Kingdom as an intolerable obstacle to his grand vision of a British-led confederation. Under King Shaka, Shaka's nephew, the Zulu army remained a potent force, an anachronism the empire could not abide. In late 1878, the British issued an impossible ultimatum, demanding Shaka disband his army. It was a thinly veiled pretext for invasion. Lord Chelmsford, the commander of the British forces, confidently prepared his columns, armed with the deadly Martini Henry rifle, utterly underestimating the disciplined nation he sought to subjugate. As Chelmsford's central column settled into its camp beneath the sphinx-like hill of Isandlwana, the Zulu army was already in motion. King Shaka had mobilized over 20,000 warriors, a silent, disciplined tide flowing across the landscape. They advanced under the command of Kamahol, adhering to the masterful battle tactic perfected by Shaka, the impondo zenkamo, or horns of the buffalo. The plan was simple yet devastating. A central force, the chest, would engage and pin the enemy. Simultaneously, two flanking horns would race to encircle them, cutting off any escape. A reserve, the loins, would wait to deliver the final blow. It was a strategy of total envelopment, relying on speed, surprise, and overwhelming numbers against an unsuspecting foe. On January 22, 1879, the sun beat down on the tranquil British camp. A small mounted patrol stumbled upon the unthinkable. A silent ocean of 20,000 Zulu warriors rising from the valley floor. The alarm was raised too late. The battle began not with a charge, but with a terrifying rhythmic chant and the stamping of thousands of feet. The British line, armed with single-shot rifles, fired volley after volley, but they could not stop the tide. The right horn of the Zulu buffalo swept around the mountain, cutting off the retreat. The left horn crashed into the camp's flank. Ammunition boxes were screwed shut, resupply failed, and the firing line faltered. The disciplined red line broke into pockets of desperate men, swallowed by the sheer mass of the Zulu impi. The chest surged forward, and the camp was overwhelmed. The news of Isandlwana sent shockwaves through the British Empire. A modern, professional army had been annihilated by warriors armed primarily with spears and shields. It was a humiliation of unprecedented scale. The victory, however, was Pyrrhic for the Zulu Kingdom. It enraged the British, who poured immense resources and thousands of new troops into the region, determined to avenge the defeat and crush Zulu independence once and for all. Within months, at the Battle of Ulundi, the Zulu army was broken. Yet, the legacy of Isandlwana endured. It shattered the myth of European invincibility and became a potent symbol of African resistance. For generations, it would be remembered as the day the spear triumphed over the gun, a testament to tactical genius and the unyielding spirit of the Zulu warrior.